And well, to talk more on this, we're now being joined by Imtiaz Gul from Islamabad. He's the Executive Director of Center for Research and Security Studies and a journalist as well. Welcome to WION, Mr. Imtiaz.
Good morning.
The Pakistan government is poised to table the final draft of the proposed constitutional amendment bill today at 6 p.m. And this comes after the Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif chaired a meeting of the Union Cabinet at around 2 a.m. today. The session has perhaps been postponed to 6 p.m. Like even our correspondent said, that the government wants to pass the amendment with a broad consensus. The question here is that what is the desperation within the Shehbaz Sharif government to pass the bill so urgently? And how high are the stakes for the Shehbaz Sharif government?
Well, I think they have passed or missed many deadlines as far as the tabling of the amendment is concerned, and somehow both Shehbaz Sharif as well as Bilawal Zardari have been extremely desperate, and they were called out by Sardar Akhtar Mengal, one of the leaders from Balochistan, who asked as to who is behind these amendments and why is this rush, why this secrecy about the amendment. So somehow the motives have not been very transparent, and I think you can judge it from the fact that people like Bilawal Zardari, whom the Western world, the Indians fancy a lot, as well as the Sharif brothers, that in fact Bilawal Zardari threatened the opposition that the government will use brute majority if it doesn't now agree to the draft being tabled or proposed by the government. So the tone or tenor of Bilawal Zardari, of Shehbaz Sharif, of his ministers have been all but democratic. And that's why Maulana Fazlur Rahman, Sardar Akhtar Mengal, and the PTI, of course, which is in fact the largest party in the National Assembly, have been extremely reluctant in agreeing to something which they haven't seen. Now, a number of points that you mentioned, I think, have been dropped already. There is not going to be any constitutional court. There's the age limit for the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court is not being raised to the 68 years. We understand. Nobody, however, has seen the final draft of the resolution of the amendment, and that's why all the opposition parties have joined hands and asked for even more time, including Maulana Fazlur Rahman, to first go through it, ponder its implications, and only then perhaps discuss as to whether the opposition will support it or not. But Imran Khan's party, PTI, has altogether refused. For the way the entire episode, this tragic or sad episode, has been unfolding for many weeks now.
Right, Mr. Gul, Imran Khan has rather said that he will take some time to answer on the amendment bill. And like you mentioned, it comes down to the numbers games right now. The Shehbaz Sharif government is 12 votes short to pass the bill. How are things looking like right now? Like you also mentioned that the coalition parties, they are asking for more time, with Maulana Fazlur Rahman's JUIF party also saying that they're not in favor of some points in the proposed amendment bill.
Well, I think as far as the numbers, we have to understand any sitting government with total support from the establishment, people who matter, they can basically have their day. And one of the senators who is very close to the establishment, Faisal Wavda, made it very clear last night that come what may, the amendment will be passed. And as far as the numbers are concerned, we have heard, and this has been alleged, that several senators of the Jamiat Ulama Islam, of the PTI, have been abducted or they have disappeared from the scene. At least 7 members of the PTI have also been apparently detained, abducted, and the families are being used as a shield, as a coercive measure to force them into voting for the amendment. So I think by hook or by crook, the sitting government always has the power to basically force people or complete the numbers that they require for such amendments. But I would say this is yet another sad episode in Pakistan's democratic history. The way the consensus, the so-called consensus, is being developed or evolved by the ruling party through coercion, through arrests, through raids on houses of some of the opposition members.
Right, Mr. Goel, and reports are just coming in right now is that the agenda for the NA session, the National Assembly session issued, that does not consist the tabling of the constitutional amendment. Can you shed some light on that?
Well, basically, the government is not sure whether they will get the requisite support from Maulana Fazlur Rahman. So that basically boils down to the numbers. Had the numbers, they would have gone through the amendment 4 weeks ago, but there seems to be some serious lacuna in the entire process. When people like Zardari, Bilawal Zardari, Nawaz Sharif, they themselves become part of attempts to emasculate political power, when they become part of the assault on the judiciary, on restricting civilian authority within the parliament as well as within the governance structure. So this basically raises serious questions, and it also invites opposition, stiff opposition from the people who are not part of the government. So that's why I think, since they are not sure, that's why they have not included it in the agenda. This is not a problem, including any point in the agenda and then getting it through. But apparently there are serious differences. We heard, it's yet to be verified, that some of the ruling party MPs may also abstain or vote against the amendment because they are not in agreement with the kind of restrictions that are being placed on the judiciary, the kind of restrictions or the surrender of some of the authority that of the civilian government. So this is a very tricky, complex situation right now if this is not part of the agenda for the session at 6 p.m. and we are not sure whether even at 6 p.m. the session takes place at all.
Right, because earlier they wanted the session to take place at 3 p.m. and now it's been pushed to 6 p.m. The question right now is if Shehbaz Sharif government will be able to cobble a two-third majority to pass that bill. But thank you so much for joining us on Beyond, Mr. Goel, with your insights.
Welcome.